a lot has happened with Kanye West over the past few days, and he's taken a lot of people on a ride. Fans, supporters, you know, Hollywood alike, as always. Man, this dude literally took his Grammy and pissed on it. He put his Grammy in the toilet and pissed on it and recorded it, and then he posted it, I believe, to Twitter. And now his Twitter account, I think his Twitter account got suspended temporarily. And then on top of that, he came out and put up some tweets basically saying that Jay-Z owned his masters, and Jay-Z sold his masters to someone else, another record company, so Jay-Z could obtain his own masters. And he was basically saying how basically Jay-Z has robbed him and how he basically wants to be able to get his masters back. And you know, he's out here putting up tweets, basically putting up proposals on what new music contracts should look like and stuff like that, on how the artist should be able to benefit. And for me, I think that, you know, it's just at this point, Kanye West antics is just like, it's expected, you know what I mean? And I feel like he goes on a rant every so often, and it makes it so like I personally, I don't entertain this as quickly, you know what I'm saying? Like, before Kanye did something, I feel like with me being a part of this group of commentators, I had to hurry up and jump on it, like, Kanye did this, oh my god, this and this. But it's like, this shit is just so played out at this point. It's like, okay, it's expected for Kanye to do something stupid. It's expected for Kanye to have a fit. It's expected for him to do this, you know. And, you know, oftentimes they want to blame it on his mental illness. You can blame it on whatever you want to blame it on, but that's just what the dude do. That's just how he is, period. And it's like, after a while, it just starts to get played out. You know what I'm saying? Now, he did have some good points. Something that I'm not gonna sit here and discredit the man on certain points that he made about artists owning their music and their masters. But the question is like, why is it that the people that don't make music, let's talk about a more serious subject in regards to what he was talking about. Why is it the people that don't make music own all of these artists' music? What in the world is going on in the music industry? There needs to be a serious revamping of every freaking thing. I mean, there's so many different stories since the start of Hollywood in the music industry about artists who have literally made pennies off of records that made other people's millions and millions and millions of dollars that they recorded and they don't own the rights to. And they basically, a lot of them, they die poor, or they go through a lot of financial hardship and strife before they actually have a semi-decent income for them to sustain themselves for years to come, man. And, you know, Kanye made a good point. You know, he discussed the fact that Jay-Z actually allegedly sold his master's recordings to someone else. So Jay-Z himself, because Jay-Z was an artist and is an artist, could own the masters to his own material, which is business, you know. If we're talking about on a business aspect, you can't really get emotional, but, you know, oftentimes when it comes to black folks and it comes to the music industry, when black people work together, we have sometimes I think it's like a manipulating mindset where we try to like, oh yeah, what's up sis, oh what's up bro, this and this, and we like try to make everything into a family situation when it's really not a family situation, it's a business situation. And I feel like with Kanye West, I feel like he basically was mixing business with pleasure with Jay-Z and felt like Jay-Z owed him anything, when at the end of the day, dude, you were just his artist. You were another commodity to his many business ventures. And Jay-Z did what most successful businessmen would do. If you have something that you could sell to another person or auction off or trade to get something better from it, that's what you're going to do. That's what capitalists do. That's how they make sure that they stay on top of the food chain. And like Kanye West, you know, you're going on a rant and sitting here saying all these things. That's not going to help you get your masters back. You know, I would say to sit down and try to figure out the legalities of the situation and see what is needed for you to buy your masters back. I know it seemed like it's damn near impossible for an artist to own their masters, and it's kind of confusing because I'm trying to understand like how is this even legal? Like how is it even legal in the music business for half of this stuff to be going on? Because it's literally highway robbery. But we do live in a capitalist society, and that's what most of this entire environment that we live in here in the U.S. is based upon, is basically stepping on a little guy for you to get to the top. So like, I mean, in something like the music industry, which is a big multi-billion-dollar industry, particularly especially with black entertainers, they seem to fall victim to a lot of these executives, these music record labels and stuff like that. And it really comes down to making sure that the people that is the executives or people in charge is eating over the artists. Now, I don't know exactly what can be done. I mean, it just seemed like it's a lose-lose situation. Do you guys think that there's a possibility for the music industry to be revamped? I mean, we've seen Hollywood is slowly being revamped. We're seeing diversity finally in Hollywood. We're seeing a lot of people that was doing wrongdoing to women and stuff like that being arrested and thrown in jail and all types of stuff. And they're literally been cleaning house when it comes to the acting side of Hollywood. Now, I'm trying to figure out, when will it happen where the musical side of Hollywood is actually cleaned out as well? Because until everything is cleaned and rinsed and people who's running everything or the gatekeepers are exposed, this whole thing is going to continue to happen. These artists out here are going to continue to be broke. These artists out here are going to continue to be taken advantage of. But that leads to another question. What is the point of a record label? Musicians out there, I want to talk to y'all on some real stuff. Because, you know, like I said, my podcast, of course I'm talking about gossip, but I want to try to make some sense of it and really just try to pick brains with people that's out there that's watching that might be part of the music industry or want to be part of the music industry. Why do you need a record label? Because somebody tell me, why do you need a record label in this day and age? Because, you know, back in the day, the record label would market you. You know, you had to go to like boot camps and stuff like that, where you had to train your abilities and all this other stuff. But I can't think of the name of it right now. But you know what I'm saying? They had artist development. They used to do artist development. You know, before Artist Freshman album came out, they did artist development. First you audition, they do artist development. They did so many different things to help the artists reach their next level of professionalism before they're presented to the world. And now it's like, these days you don't even have to have any type of real talent. It comes down to your YouTube numbers. It comes down to your streaming numbers. It comes down to what you already have built, and then you bring it to the record label. And back then, the record label would actually make you famous. Like, the record label would literally run the entire show and make you famous, and then they will rob you. Now, think of it like this. If they were literally funding everything that you're doing, right? And they're paying your managers, they're paying your entourage, your background singers, dancers, they're paying for your hotel stays, they're paying for the concert hall that you're going to be performing in, they're paying for basically everything you're living off of, right, back in the day. And they used to use that budget, and then on top of that, the record industry, their labels and stuff like that, the executives have to pay themselves. You know, it would look as if the artist would be broke, because if you're not writing your music, which most of these artists do not, they have not written their own music, they're not even getting royalties at that point in their life, they're going to come out broke. Now, what was the benefit of them being on a record label back then? Like I said, all the stuff that I listed, they were benefiting because the record label was making sure that they were being developed. The record label was handling the ins and outs of their business when it comes to like hotel accommodations, you know, where people would buy their records at, where the records were being distributed, because they actually sold records, hard copies of records back then. The record label was in charge of pretty much everything. Of course, songwriting credits, paychecks being distributed, all that other stuff. And then the record label would own the masters. To own the masters of the music, because the record label needs to eat. That means that they have to own all your music. So when the record is sold, they get first dibs on that money to keep everything going, and then they can bring more people in. Now, for most people, they'll probably seem like, okay, maybe that doesn't sound too scamish, because that just sounds like they're literally running a business. But these days, the same thing is going on, but the record label isn't really doing anything for anybody. Let's be real. What exactly is a record label doing for an independent artist who's already streamed 1 million records by themselves? Why would you want to sign a record deal? I'm trying to understand, because honestly, it's really just like, it's like this. Okay, I'll view it like this. It's a loan. If you go and say, I want to go buy a house, right? You usually don't actually have the actual cash to pay for it. So you go to the bank and see if you get a mortgage or a loan. Then they give it to you and they say, you own this house, but you still got to keep paying us for it. And that's pretty much what the record label does. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, yeah, you are the artist and you own your name, whatever, but we're the ones that's really owning this because we just bought you out. Why would you let yourself be bought out when all of the money could come to you if you're a free agent? Because what I'm learning and what I've seen in the music industry is that when an artist signing a contract, they literally sign their entire lives away, pretty much. Like, the record label, they pay the producers, they pay this, and then all these other people, but they're going to pay themselves first, and you're going to be last. And if you're not a songwriter, you're not going to be really getting paid that much. The only money that you're really making directly is usually tour money, and even then that's getting split up amongst the entourage, people that's performing, and everything else, and you know, the promoters and all that other stuff that's involved. So it's like, how can you win in the music industry as an artist? Me personally, as a DJ, from what I'm seeing, is for artists to understand the importance of having their own budget and understanding the tools of marketing. And how can you capitalize on yourself? Now, granted, I'm not telling anybody, oh, just don't sign a record deal. It might benefit you. If it makes sense to sign it, I guess so. But just remember, this ain't the 1990s or the 1980s where if you didn't sign it, you would never have the opportunity to be famous. You would never have the opportunity to eat again or even eat at all, because no one else would be able to give you the exposure like a record company. You could literally go on the web, like I'm doing, for instance, make a show and become famous by yourself without any contracts. You literally just doing it freelance. You know what I'm saying? And that's the same thing for musicians. You literally, these days, as an artist, you can literally make your own music, produce your own music, distribute your own music. The only thing is that what I would recommend for most artists out there, the reason why they fail is because they don't have no real solid income. Keep your day job. If you're a performer, keep your day job. Try to get your money together. Try to be an entrepreneur overall. And then incorporate your music in it so you can pay for the marketing and the promotion and stuff like that you need. Because these days it's really not about, oh, if I don't sign this record label, I can't be famous. You might already be famous. You know what I'm saying? You gotta weigh the pros and cons. Is it really worth you signing off your masters and everything that you own that could benefit you and your family for the next centuries to come, over signing a deal with somebody who literally will take everything that you have and no one else will be able to benefit after you die, and there'll be a bunch of people and leeches living off of your brand for the next some odd decades, and your family is not going to be fed? Like, you just got to think about it, like figure out what works best for business with you. And for me, what Kanye is doing right now, trying to expose Jay-Z and stuff like that, it's just like, I feel like he wasn't a smart businessman. You can't be mad at other people for basically taking advantage of you when you wasn't being a smart businessman. I don't think it's Jay-Z's fault at the end of the day. I feel like he should have been paying attention to his contract before he signed it, because Kanye was already a good, well-known producer before he became an actual artist. So there's no reason why he didn't understand what was going on with his career. Moral of the story is basically, ladies and gentlemen, is to read your paperwork, understand what you're signing, so in the long run, you don't have to run around and claim to be the victim. Because really, at the end of the day, fame costs. And you either gonna pay on the front end or the back end. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like Kanye was on the heels of the rest of like the last people that's like big names that was kind of like signed before that digital age wave hit. So, I mean, he signed a contract thinking it was going to benefit him, but in the long run right now, he's regretting it, because he's not able to financially benefit or do the things that he wanted to do with his own music that he produced and created. And most people don't understand that even if you get the songwriting credits and stuff like that to make money off it, you actually don't own your music. So really, I feel like instead of Kanye West whimping and crying all over the web about him losing all of his masters, even though he's a so-called quote-unquote billionaire, he needs to try to help other people instead of like being selfishly just being about himself. Maybe with all the ranting that he's doing, maybe you should make a music industry enrollment class to teach people and musicians how to survive without these music executives being up their butt, stealing their money and everything else. I think that if Kanye really wants to be heard, I feel like he should do more effort into it, making it about everybody in the music industry that's been screwed over besides himself. Because honestly, it's just coming off as just a self-loathing opportunity, a self-loathing situation where he just wants attention. And then sometimes even when he does it so much that sometimes even when he makes sense, like I feel like he makes sense right now, like trying to speak on the injustice when it comes to music industry stuff, it just doesn't settle well with everybody listening to him. You know what I'm saying? Like it just is like, what the hell is he talking about now? So it doesn't go over well. So Kanye, really, my advice to you is, if you really want to discuss the inequality in the music industry, how artists are getting screwed over, this and this, do something about it, and make sure that it's not just you that's going to benefit from the situation. You know what I'm saying? Try to help others. And he actually went on Twitter. He's basically putting together like this 7-step proposal about how he thinks contracts should be, and this and this. Maybe that could be the first step. I personally don't think that the music industry is going to change anytime soon until the artists stop being scared and really stop selling their entire soul and integrity just for a check. Because at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of them, they want to stand up for what's right, but then they see the dollar signs, especially in these times now, but even long before this. They say, you know what, never mind, I'm just gonna shut up because I want to feed my family. And that's the problem. That's like the biggest problem of why a lot of artists are financially, you know, ruined by the end of their careers, or even in the beginning of their careers when it comes to being a part of the music industry, is because they're so afraid of failing and not being able to provide for their family that they're just willing to sign anything. So really, my advice to any artist that's out there that relatively has, at least I would say, I don't know, 100,000 followers that's not bought, like real followers and stuff, like people that actually watch their videos and download their stuff, is to stick being independent. You know what I mean? Unless it's an opportunity for you to be like a partner with the label, and the label's going to partner with you and say, okay, well, how about this? We can help with the distribution and you take 60% and we take 40 or something like that. And it's like a partnership. I would say to most artists it's already established down there, don't sign the contract. There's no point. Like literally, there's people that have literally become millionaires by themselves without a record company. And it's because they know how to market themselves well. They understand the benefits of having endorsement deals. They understand, you know, how streams work and how you can make money just doing the work independently. Like most artists, they're very lazy. You know, they're talented, but they're not smart. And that's the thing that is the reason why so many people are able to take advantage of these artists, because they're not the smartest in the room. All they know is they know how to sing and they want to be a pop star, and they just live in their own little fantasy world. And that's the reason why so many people could take advantage of them, because they're not thinking as businessmen and businesswomen. And when it comes to Kanye West's artistry, yes, he's an excellent businessman now, because listen, he done made himself $1 billion for the work he's doing, but he's not a better businessman than Jay-Z, period. And I feel like that's the reason why Kanye West is where he is right now, because he did not come in the industry as a very you know, smart businessman. And now he's starting to realize that he's like in his early 40s and stuff. He's starting to realize, oh man, all the mistakes I made in the business. But it's too late. You can't sit here and whine about it. All you can do is try to get up and, you know, try again. I heard that you can get your masters back by re-recording. In a way, you know, it seemed like Kanye got a lot of time on his hands to sit here and tweet and have rants. He should be re-recording all his material so he can actually own his masters and do whatever he needs to do so. And I mean, I know this is like a 20-minute rant about Kanye, but I just wanted to talk about it and just really incorporate the music industry in general, because I know like a lot of times, you know, I have listeners out there, and you know, I deal with independent artists all the time who want advice on how they can be successful and stuff like that. And it really comes to is just like working very hard, understanding and knowing that this music industry ain't for free, which means you're gonna have a budget and pay people to promote yourself. Try to network yourself as far as possible. And then if you get to the point where you feel like you want a label backing, make sure that you're not in a desperate situation. Make sure that you have a solid amount of fans, and you show the label like, look, actually you signing me is actually a benefit for you. It's not really a benefit for me. And then that's when you'll probably get the best deal that you can out of working or doing business with a record label. DJ Erica.